Good morning, YouTube friends and family. I shouldn't even be doing a video because I don't feel good. I really don't. I've got a horrible, horrible headache, and my sinuses are just a mess. Just a mess. But this is a video that I really feel has to be done. It's something we have got to be aware of. We've got to share. And for me, it's very important. You know how sometimes something will happen and immediately we say to ourselves, well, that hit too close to home. That hit too close to home. Well, this piece that I'm going to share with you has hit too close to home. It's easy for us to dismiss things that happen an ocean away or across the country. I mean, over here where I live, I can look at something that happens in New York City. Well, I won't say New York City. That affected the whole world. But let's say New Jersey. And I can say, well, thank God that's in New Jersey, not here. But more and more what we're finding is what happens in New Jersey is beginning to happen here. Too close to home. Bear with me, please, if I start sniffling or coughing. I did take some sinus medication, herbal. I don't do pills, to try and break my sinuses free. But sometimes that'll cause me to start coughing. So if I do, please forgive me. I just don't want to wait to get this out. Friends, I watched a video that showed police officers incognito, hidden, speaking out against some of the activities of the police and how they are instructed even by their captains to violate the rights of the people. And they're told if they don't do this, they'll suffer the consequences. It's do or lose. You're going to lose your job. You're going to be reprimanded. Whatever the case may be. And more and more of this is happening. We have rights. We definitely have rights. And we need to cherish and take care of the rights that we have left. We have somebody in a White House that is destroying the rights of the people of this country. And for whatever reason, we've been allowing it. But this story that I'm going to share with you could happen to you. Yes, you. It happens unannounced. It takes place for no damn good reason at all. And excuse me if I get a little verbal here. And it begins often with a nibby-nosing Badinsky called a neighbor. A neighbor. What in the world has happened to people? What is happening? Are we so consumed with what our neighbors are doing and consumed with this desire to cause distension, to cause grief, to cause pain, to cause upheaval, that we butt in and that we make up stories and that we... Oh, sweet Jesus. I'm upset. It's not too often that I get upset, but believe me, I've cried over this one. I have cried over this story. And if you have any humanity in you, if you give a rat's tail end about your own freedoms, then you better shed a tear too. I want you to picture something, friends. I want you to picture yourself sitting in your house at your kitchen table or dining room table or a coffee table, wherever you sit to enjoy your morning cup of coffee. And you've got your cup of coffee. Oh, that you're savoring and enjoying. And your spouse or your mate, your friend, your lover comes in through the door and says something like, "Why didn't you lock the garage door when you were done?" And you say, "I did lock the garage door." And they say, "No, you didn't. The damn thing's sitting there wide open." "Well, I locked the stinking damn door." And you start arguing. And you're arguing. Maybe it's a silly thing to argue about. Maybe it's a serious issue that needs to be argued about because you can't resolve it or haven't resolved it. But you're in the privacy of your own home and you're arguing. We all do it. We all do it and have done it. Little do you know, you have this neighbor next door who you really haven't had anything to do with at all, that's sitting there with their ear cocked, listening to what's going on next door. That neighbor parts their drapes, their curtains, and they look out, trying to see what the neighbors are doing. They hear the argument. Doesn't stop there. Neighbor picks up their phone and they dial 911. "Yes, I'm calling about a terrible, terrible problem. I think my neighbor is killing his wife. I just know it. I think he's killing her. And yeah, it's terrible. I can hear it. And you know, I think there's more about this guy. I don't trust him. I think he's doing something illegal. I think there's some bad activity going on over there. Maybe he's, I think he's a bad guy. I think he's a bad guy. You need to check this out. There's some really bad things going on. And I swear I think he's killing her." Her call works. Unbeknownst to the woman sitting at her table drinking her morning coffee. Well, as she drinks her coffee, she happens to glance out the window. And she sees men coming through a cornfield with weapons, with rifles. And they've got tactical vests on. She can't see who they are. All she sees is the weapons as they part the corn coming through this field. She jumps up from her table, yells at her husband, who has gone back to bed. She's excited. "Come quick, there's somebody coming through the cornfield. They've got guns. They're coming towards the house. Come now!" She runs for the door and cracks it open and tries to look out. Let me read something to you, friends. She hollers up at her husband, who happens to be a very good friend here on YouTube, one of our community. I'll put the link down below to his channel and to this article. There's a video included in this article that you need to watch. You need to listen to it very close. Listen to everything that the officers say. Listen to their demeanor, their attitude. Listen to the injustice. Okay, I'll read. Also, there will be a link to this article. "Bear! There are guys with guns outside," shouted Marcella Cruz to her husband as she looked out the kitchen window from their farmhouse in Letha, Idaho. Timidly opening the kitchen door, Marcella, a small, slender, middle-aged woman, spied a large man carrying a gun and wearing a tactical vest. "Don't go back into the house," the stranger ordered. Marcella, as a woman, instinctively retreated into the safety of her home. Who wouldn't? At roughly the same time, another intruder, armed with an assault rifle, pounded on the front door. "Come out," he demanded. As Marcella tried to shut the kitchen door, the first intruder, who outweighed her by at least 100 pounds, grabbed her by the left wrist and started to pull the terrified woman from the house. Friends, picture this while I read. She's trying to shut the kitchen door. This rifle-packing person grabs her and tries to pull her through the door, grabbing her left wrist. And she was terrified. Who wouldn't be? I'd want to get back in my house and hide behind the couch, too. "Why are you dragging me out of my home?" asked the terrified woman. "Why would you be pulling me out of my home?" "Open the door," insisted the assailant, using his weight advantage and leverage to extract the woman, who had braced herself against one side of the door while clinging desperately to the other with her right hand. As she lost her grip, the left side of Marcella's body scraped painfully against the door frame before she was thrown to the ground. One of the invaders finally identified himself. "Bear, step out! Sheriff's office!" bellowed the berserker, packing the assault weapon. "What's the matter?" asked Michael Gibbons. Michael Gibbons, pardon me. I apologize. Known as Bear to his friends. As the exasperated farmer opened the front door. "What's the problem?" "Who else is in the house?" demanded one of the invaders. "Nobody," replied Bear. "You guys having a fight this morning?" inquired an armed man, his fingers still poised on the trigger. "We had an argument," Bear replied, his voice tinged with incredulity. You can read that word yourself, guys. Tinged with, I'm going to say, shock. "What's going on?" "We'll let you know in a sec," the armed man replied in a dismissive tone. "For right now, go to your knees for me. Face away from me." With those words, the armed stranger, who had not established any legal justification for invading the couple's property, ordered Bear to assume the coup de grace position. "Down on your knees, back towards the officer." At this point, Bear, who had just seen his wife assaulted at gunpoint, imagine that, watching your wife, for you guys, watching your wife assaulted at gunpoint. Jesus. At this point, Bear, who had just seen his wife assaulted at gunpoint, had every reason to think that he might be murdered. and no legitimate reason to believe that the marauders were actually peace officers. After all, anybody can buy weapons and body armor and official-looking insignia. The raiding party was composed of Gem County Sheriff's deputies, but their behavior was that of a home invasion gang rather than a group of peace officers. Peace officers. Boy, that's a term we're just about going to have to eliminate. Peace officers. What's this about? Bear demanded from his knees as a deputy handcuffed him. We're going to tell you. Now's the time to shut up, sneered the goon with the assault rifle. The more honest answer would have been, now's the time to invent a justification for this raid. After being handcuffed behind his back, Bear was ordered to get up. Why is this happening? Bear demanded to know. I said get up, answered one of his captors, who, with the help of another, hoisted the tiny man off the ground and then promptly dropped him on his tailbone. Bear suffered a severe back injury that left him incapacitated. With Bear in handcuffs and Marcella being detained, a small group of officers led by Sheriff Chuck Rowland conducted a warrantless search of the home on the pretext of clearing it. There's a video record of this that you can watch. As the video record of the search illustrates, the officers were not looking for concealed threat to their safety. They made little effort to clear the corners or inspect potential hiding spots. However, they were very interested in finding evidence of marijuana use, lifting and sniffing ashtrays and going through personal effects. After going upstairs, they found what they believed was a grow room. We'll have to get a warrant for this, one of them remarked. We found your grow room, Lieutenant Timothy told Bear after the officers emerged from the home a few minutes later. You found our tomato plants? Bear responded, pointing out to the supposedly suspicious grow room, which was actually an aquaponics system of the kind that he had described to the indifferent Emmett City Council just months earlier. Although Bear admitted that he does occasionally use marijuana to treat lingering chronic injuries, the most serious of which he received, ironically, as a police officer when he was stabbed by a shoplifter in 1982, he hadn't smoked any that morning. Marcella had let him sleep in that morning, and Bear had gotten up just a short time before the police materialized on his property. In that brief period, however, he and Marcella had had one short, inconsequential, verbal spat of the kind every couple occasionally experiences. Have you ever argued with your spouse, your mate, your lover, your friend, your kids, in your house, friends? You ever have an argument? What are your neighbors doing? The argument was overheard by a neighbor who, displaying a sense of civic responsibility. I am a good citizen. I am displaying my civic responsibility. I'm calling you 911 to let you know I think. Oh my God. More and more of this going on too. Pay attention. Know your neighbors. Oh, okay. The argument was overheard by a neighbor who, displaying a sense of civic responsibility, more appropriate to East Germany than Western Idaho, called the police. Bear and Marcella have lived in Letha, an unincorporated town near Emmett, Idaho, for about 2 years. They are organic farmers. Think about that. They are organic farmers, like most of their neighbors. Unlike at least one of their neighbors, the couple is determined to mind their own business. God. On the morning of August 16th, the neighbor, who identified herself as April, overheard the couple's argument and called 911 to report that she thought Bear was beating his wife. Because the neighborhood is located near the county line, the cell phone call was originally directed to the dispatchers for the Payette County Sheriff's Office, who relayed the information to her counterpart in Gem County. In making the handoff, however, both dispatchers clearly understood one critical fact. There was no indication that weapons were involved in the alleged domestic dispute, or even to be found in the household. This meant that the proper response to the report, according to established policy, was a low-key welfare check. I hope you understood that. Why then did the Gem County Sheriff's Office choose to mount a SWAT-style raid against Bear and Marcella? The short answer is that the couple was the victim of political profiling. They were identified as a threat to officer safety on account of their perceived political opinions. Are you familiar with these guys? Asked a deputy identified in the 911 recording as Officer 57. Negative, answered another deputy designated Officer 56. I am, and it's affirmative. There is weapons, continued Officer 57. He is, or at least was, anti-law enforcement. We've had issues with him. He's a constitutionalist. Idaho is one of the few states in the Union where people would consider the term constitutionalist to be plotted rather than pejorative. You know, friends, I could go on reading this, but time's ticking. I'm going to share the link. I suggest all of you read it, read the article. Put yourself in that position. Watch the video. It's getting out of hand. No, it's not getting out of hand. Friends, it's out of hand. It is out of hand. It's too close to home. And if you think that you don't have a neighbor that's sitting there peering out their curtains, looking for something to report on you, you might want to get to know your neighbors a little better. Of the people, for the people, excuse me, I hiccuped. Don't know where that came from. Cabbage, maybe? Of the people, for the people. People. People, we need to stand together. This neighbor isn't together. Not part of the oneness. Let's say that she was concerned. Did she handle it right? I don't think so. Did the peace officers, did they handle it right? I don't think so. Could this happen to you? Absolutely. Could it happen to me? Obviously. Too close to home. Should it? No. Was it handled properly? Absolutely not. Not under any circumstances was this handled right. You know, God bless Marcella and Bear. I love you guys. I love you, and by golly, if you need me in any way, shape, or form, I'm a good neighbor. I'm a good neighbor. I love organic food. I love the farmers. I love people that mind their own damn business. But if I'm ever needed, pick up the phone. People, give this thought. Check it out yourself. I am going to go rest and get to feeling better. Vito later. Hugs, love, and laughter. That's our hope.